Welcome to a new episode of Jestworld. I started the podcast right as everybody was taking their drink, so you might hear a little squishing, squirting.
You're welcome, world.
Chip Goddard there, and we're joined by Travis Griffin. He's a tattoo artist at No Regrets Tattoo here in Oklahoma City, which is where we're recording the show tonight.
Kindly letting us use this place.
Yeah, Travis, thanks for letting us be here.
Oh, no worries. It's awesome to have you guys around.
You're a big fan of the show Westworld, which is why we do this podcast. It's called Jestworld because we like to make jokes. We don't take anything too serious.
No, never.
But we also are pretty big dorks about Westworld, and a lot of times when me and Chip are sitting around and we're coming up with our theories and stuff, Travis is here with us, and you actually, spur a lot of the conversation. So you pay pretty close attention to Westworld, don't you?
Oh, I enjoy the show.
Do you? Are you big into a lot of the HBO shows like Game of Thrones and stuff like that too?
Oh yes, I'm a super Game of Thrones nerd.
Yeah,
we spend a lot of time talking about Game of Thrones up here too.
So we kind of have a theory that Westworld is interconnected with all the HBO shows. Where are you on that theory?
I think that's a great theory. It would be cool if that came to light, but
yeah,
I don't know if it would or not.
We got a few things we're going to talk about on this show. We're going to break down episodes 1 through 3, and hopefully everybody else did too. Actually, let's make the ground rules for that real quick. Are we going to assume that everybody's seen the whole series, or are we just going to go 1 through 3 with no spoilers as to what happens later? Because I've seen this series like 2 times, 3 times now.
Yeah, me too. I think we should just talk like everybody's seen it.
Yeah.
Because I think at this point everybody has, and they're just gearing up for the second season.
Yeah, this is pretty much we're going to be breaking it down second go around.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So if you're watching it, but you've only watched the first 3, you might want to wait and watch the rest of the season and then come back.
Yeah, binge watch it, then get back to it.
Yeah, and it's best to binge watch it, I think. I watched it the first time. I watched it just week by week. And then when it was over, I binge watched it again. I thought I got a lot more out of it, just watching it all and taking it all in that way. But so we're going to do that. We're going to talk about a couple of the stuff that's come out about the second season, which is what we're getting ready for. It comes out April 22nd. And on HBO, we're super excited about it. If you've got theories that you want to contribute, you can email us at jestworld@gmail.com. And it's official. It's an official email.
Yep, Andy from Google sent us a welcome thing, welcome us to the team. So
yeah, personally from Andy, we set up a MySpace page and Tom said, "What's up?" So we already got a lot of strong support by the upper crust.
We basically have almost 95 followers.
We're at over 100 right now.
We're at 100 now. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really good.
Okay, should we go ahead and get to it?
we can talk about it. We can talk about it. I don't want to stir the fire, but
So okay, remember last episode when we talked about Jestworld Films?
Yes.
The Facebook page.
Yes.
Well, apparently they've taken notice.
Yeah. I got a message on Facebook from the guy who runs that page, and he was like, "Why'd you create this page and give it this name? This name is my page name. Why you give?" And I'm also sure because they're in Bangladesh that I think it's translating it as he's writing it, so it's probably not coming through exactly. And it also made me wonder what I could say something and they could translate it like something crazy, and this guy's like, "Oh yeah." But anyway, I responded. I was like, ours is one word in reference to the show Westworld. 2 different things, because like I say, they're like a film company, kind of. And he said, "Why? Change your page name." I wrote, "No, sir."
Andy from Google gave us the go-ahead.
Yeah, Andy from Google.
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah. I said, ours is different than just Westworld Films. And he goes, "Why you copy?" And I said, "Well, ours is a podcast. No one's going to confuse ours and yours. We even asked our fans to like your page, so it's not a copy. Different concepts altogether." He goes, "The name, why you selected?" And I said, well, we came up with it before we saw your page, but it sounds like the show Westworld that we do our podcast about. Jest equals joke. We like to make jokes and talk about Westworld. He said, well, my page is older than your page. And like it never got crazy. But anyway, he was like, yeah, I was like, yes, but while our names are similar, it is different. You know, again, ours is one word. And our pages are for completely different purposes. You have a good night. And he wrote UF, which I hope wasn't backwards for FU. I'm going to assume that was just a typo. You think?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, there goes your invite to be a guest.
So he said, your country? And I wrote United States. And he wrote, nice.
Nice.
Which could have been like, nice. Or, you know.
Like, of course. Nice.
Yeah. Americans.
We've gone international.
Yeah, we have. But, you know, hey, like I said, two different things. If we don't care, go support their page. Go give them some likes. They got like 17. They need them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like them.
Yeah, I did too. So I thought that was pretty nice, you know, give them a little bit of exposure. Like I said, I really honestly don't know what they do. I was looking for some of their videos and stuff, but they're new, you know. Yeah.
Do they have a lot of content on their site?
Not a whole lot, but
I think they have 2 or 3 videos on YouTube.
And the guy that runs it, we're friends on Facebook too, because he saw when I liked his page and he sent me a friend request, and we exchanged pleasantries, you know. He's like, you liked my page? And I was like, yeah, I loved it. So he
So before he got mad, you were like, oh, I love your page.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal the name.
Yeah, well, I didn't. No, that's not what we didn't steal the names.
I know,
but
I'm
yeah.
just kidding.
So that's the big. Oh, well, I was looking at his personal page, and it looks like he's an actor or something. Very handsome guy. I'm sure he's successful over there. So
Very good.
I mean, just wait. He's going to open up a no regrets tattoo in Bangladesh.
yeah, I will get
Great.
you guys.
That's awesome.
I will rule you. That's my little catchphrase from now on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Doesn't look like anything to me.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're not the only no regrets around. I'm sure there's several shops.
I think I've seen one. Like sometimes when I need to get the address or something, I'll Google it, and there's one in like Indiana or.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
That happens more often than you think.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small world nowadays thanks to the internet.
Oh yeah, I want to know because theirs is just Space World, and I wonder if that means something different. Because I don't think that it doesn't look like there's any connection to the show or the movie or Westworld.
I don't know.
You know, we could change our name if we needed to, I guess. Jestworld.
Jestworld, yeah. There's a lot of chest on Westworld.
Test World. Nest World. I don't know. Best. No, we're not changing it. Just World is just fine.
Yeah.
One word.
He'll
It's
be
different.
all right.
Yeah.
Andy from Google gave us the go ahead.
He did. So.
Yeah.
And he's in Bangladesh. Who cares?
Yeah. That's maybe why he asked. He might have been like, yeah, probably can't do anything about it now.
You know, he just sits around and shakes his fist.
You never know though, because it's online. So he might. I could be taking his tone as like, and he could be like, yeah. But you know, I could tell he was a little. He was mildly irritated. It seemed like
He might
Did
show
he
up one
use
day.
all
We
caps?
never know.
No, he didn't. He didn't use all caps. So. That's good. But all right. So let's talk about some of the things on our Facebook page, which is just Jestworld, one word.
Yeah.
And you can find it because people might be listening at Spreaker, iTunes. We also are on YouTube, so we have a Facebook page. And Chip, he likes to post some of the articles and stuff that he reads regarding the theories, and I saw some of them. Maybe the first one we should talk about is a question that a lot of people probably asked after watching the first 3 episodes. Where is Westworld?
Good question. It's obviously open air because they had a satellite, and the flies are real.
Yeah.
But everything else is not. Like the snake, all the wildlife, anything that can hurt you.
That's insane.
Right. So it's got to be something like middle of Utah, like a desert. I don't know.
See, I would say like somewhere maybe like Nevada or something like that. But I think what if it's in a dome somewhere, and like the whole environment is like the Truman Show, basically.
It definitely could be. They remember there were stars, like our constellations. The Orion's belt.
Right.
So it definitely they could be looking at this a projection, I guess, like in Resident Evil, like the Resident Evil movies.
Yeah. Well, one thing that featured a few times in the show were the flies. And we've talked about it. And one of the things I noticed after watching episodes 1 through 3 again, because my theory was maybe the flies are like little drones that keep tabs on everything. Because if you notice, they're watching them on like little iPad-looking things.
Yeah, and everything looks like an aerial shot.
Yeah. So, but as I was watching it, there was like a few references to the flies. At one point, Felix and I can't remember the guy who Sylvester. Okay,
both cats.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Famous cartoon cats.
They're working on Maeve, and he's like, oh, I found the problem. And
she's full of MRSA.
Yeah, filthy animal. No wonder we have such a bad fly problem.
Right.
So that makes it seem like the flies are organic. You know?
And they can't kill living things, and that was why it was such a big deal at the end of the first episode.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, they're organic if they can contract MRSA and whatnot.
Well, yeah, they are. They are made out of organic material. But I guess I would say they weren't. I guess they were natural then. The flies were naturally occurring instead of being made by the or drones or
because the drones can kill each other or the hosts.
Yeah, I mean, if they were flies, they could, it wouldn't. I don't see them referring it to it as it being a fly problem.
Right.
Because they could control it all.
Right.
So just something that, because the flies, it does play prominently. I mean, at the end of the first episode, he mentions that they're talking about all the different hosts that are having some issues with the update. And he says something to the fact of, he couldn't hurt a fly.
Right. Literally couldn't. That was why he was all twitching out.
Yeah. And then I think at the very end, Dolores slaps a fly on her neck. So they can hurt flies, and they do. Right. But we'll kind of touch on that a little bit. But I just kind of wanted to point that out because so if flies are able to get in there, what else could get in there? And so it made me think maybe it wasn't a dome situation.
Well, again, back to the Delos website originally, or the Westworld website, it was advertising it like it was an actual park. And they were saying that everything in the park except for the flies was under their control.
Right.
So,
I kind of wanted to ask you if you knew anything about this. It was a reference in the first episode. Ford, Anthony Hopkins, sits down with the bartender host that was like the oldest one, and he says, "Shall we drink to the lady in the white shoes?" Did you know if that was a reference to something?
It's an old drinking toast, isn't it?
Is it? Who's the lady with like the nurse or like
Here's to the lady in the white shoes, smoked all my dope and drank all my booze.
Oh, okay. So it was a jazz saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I love that guy. I hope he comes back in the second season and has a.
Well, you know who that was? That was the sheriff of Nottingham from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He wasn't not the sheriff of Nottingham, not the evil king, but his. Yeah, the sheriff.
Yeah, the sheriff. Yeah. Michael Wincott.
Yeah, from The Crow. He was the bad guy in The Crow.
That's who he is. Yes,
he was the sister fucker.
Yeah. You're right.
Before it was all Westworld or Game of Thrones. And cool.
Before it was cool in Game of Thrones, which it's never cool. By the way. never cool.
Right.
Before Game of Thrones made it popular.
Yeah.
It's not popular, I don't think.
Yeah, before Game of Thrones, Arkansas, I apologize to our Arkansas listeners.
Yes. Nothing against the
Arkansas.
The Razorback State.
Yeah. You're just, we have a healthy rivalry here in Oklahoma.
I went to college for a couple years in Arkansas.
Yeah.
You look like you went to college in Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you go?
It was Henderson State in Arkadelphia, Arkansas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was a dry county, so it was not as much fun as you think it'd be.
Not as much fun as Westworld, I bet.
No.
Did you bootleg it all?
Yeah, we had to go to, where was it? Hot Springs, about 30, 45 minutes away. Yeah.
Hot Springs is pretty nice. I like that town.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Did you get in the baths?
I did. It was very uncomfortable having an elderly man wash me.
Oh, they wash you?
Yes.
Oh, do tell.
Did you keep eye contact?
No, I made no eye contact. I just kind of just leaned forward and just let him do his thing.
Oh.
I don't know if he worked there or not.
He was just volunteer. I just haunt the hot spring. Yeah, so that's awesome. So yeah, Arkansonians, please don't tune out now. Let's talk about the reveries, because that's kind of what the first episode. They talk a lot about that, and then the fact that the updates messing all the robot hosts up. But the reveries are what kind of sets it apart and makes these guys human in a way.
Right.
It gives them little facial tics, and I think it was responsible for the fly swatting, right?
Yeah, could have been. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, the way they bring it up is it makes complete sense, because when you have a computer disk and you're trying to overwrite it, you unless you completely format it and zero everything out, that's still there and recoverable.
Right.
So, it makes sense. It's just waiting to be overwritten.
That kind of brings me to kind of my theory on the show in a way, but the reveries are intended to make the people feel like, these people are real. And, you get into the whole philosophical debate of what's real, because, but what's natural, let's say that, what's natural. And obviously, like in the show, like some of the kids they say to the host, "You're not real," and they don't, that doesn't mean anything to them. Yeah. But you kind of feel like these robots do have a consciousness, don't you, Travis?
I do. I think that they're very much alive now. They've had a lifetime of experiences.
The Man in Black talks about what makes you real is suffering.
They're the realest they are when they're suffering.
Yeah.
And they've suffered a lot.
Yeah. Well, and that all their memories, now that they're remembering things, are in real time. I mean, we were talking about this earlier before the show. The way they remember in HD, like we have fuzzy recollections of what things are, but this is like watching a video for the second time. It's going to be the exact same.
Oh, you know how pissed I'd be.
Oh man, you feel pain every time you remember things.
You see that? I think it was in the third episode where Dolores comes out of the barn. Well,
she's in the barn.
Because the mutton chopped cowboy drags her into the barn, much like the Man in Black does earlier in episode 1. And he looks like he's about to do the same thing, have his way with her. And she, all of a sudden, she has a gun in her hand.
It's his gun. She took his gun.
Oh, she did take his gun.
Because he looks down in his holster.
Okay. So she had liberated him of his gun. But then she sees the Man in Black there, and she hears a voice that says, "Kill him."
Right. And if that's what she's doing, she shoots, at her memory. Mm-hmm. She's already breaking the being able to kill a living thing. It's because it's happening real time for her.
Right. And so she ends up killing Mutton Chopped Cowboy, runs out of the barn, and Walter, the milky rapist, he...
That's a great name. Horrible name, but great name.
Well, do you remember? I think it was the first episode. He's like, "Well, you killed her. And we didn't even get to have our way with her."
Well, this is Walter, the milky rapist, too. It's not the same actor, because remember, they retired him by this point.
Ah, okay. Well, he comes out, he comes out and he shoots her. And so she's holding on to her gut and blood's coming out. And then all of a sudden, it's like it backs it up just a little second. He comes out, so she jumps on her horse and gets away.
Yeah, she Groundhog did it.
Yeah. But then there's another scene where and this is like the end of the third episode, I think, where she shows up bloody and finds Logan and William. Yeah, white-hatted William. So you start seeing how there's all these timelines playing out here. And I wonder, when it came out, you guys, were you aware of it? Were you picking all this up? Or did you have to read about it on the internet? Because that's kind of where I found a lot of it.
Well, by the time you were seeing the phase, like shifting and phasing, you kind of get the idea that it's her remembering things.
Right.
But, no, between the first episode and the second episode, had no,
We bullshitted quite a bit about that, though, when it was coming on.
But not right then. We waited till it was at least the third.
3 or 4 in. Yeah.
I noticed one way to tell is Maeve, because there's a few different things that play out. So since we already decided that you've probably already seen everything, William, of course, is the Man in Black. He's the young Man in Black.
Yep.
And there's a few different things that happen where he shoots Maeve and her daughter just so he could, basically, and this comes later, he explains that, but he says, he just wanted to see if he could do it, basically.
Something truly evil.
Yeah. And then he also, you have everything that plays out, I think, in what's more of like a current time in the show anyway, where she's the prostitute.
Yeah, Miss Kitty.
Right. But if you go back to when William first gets there, I don't think I ever saw her in the saloon. I don't think she's off doing something else and then was repurposed, I believe. So I think that's how you can tell which timeline they are in.
Well, they talk about it I think it's episode 2, when they set her up to get, maybe retired.
Yeah, the next day they were going to retire her.
Because they put Clementine in charge, and they said she's done it before. So she was at that time, because she was around, she interacted with young William. So she was probably Maeve at that point, or Maeve's counterpart.
I wonder if maybe, what if, say, because we know now that William and the Man in Black was, and they actually addressed it in the show. They said something to the effect of he gets whatever he wants.
Right.
So we know he's a high ranking.
Whatever he wants.
Yeah, he's got a lot of money.
He's a high roller.
He's been doing this for years, and so when he shows up, they give him the red carpet. And maybe whenever he shows up, they cater it to him. So people that he's been familiar with, they go ahead and repurpose them back into his storyline. I wonder.
That could make sense because the gal that was his valet in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah,
she comes in later.
She does she's kind of repurposed at that point, right?
One of Wyatt's people.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. Yeah, and she was the one that
Spoiler.
when he first showed up, she offered him sex, showed him his clothes, and all that. And he was such a wiener at first, man. What was the first thing you would have done, Chip? Have we mentioned this yet?
That's tough. To get over the fact that they're not people, at the beginning. Well, when you're first getting there, you're probably, unless you've been there before, you're probably going to be pretty timid.
Yeah.
I would be anyway.
Yeah, well, because you saw some people, the first thing they hit was the saloon, and they were, it was days before they even got out and got into some adventures.
Logan had 2 valets or whatever you want to call them, and and one was a dude, and he probably banged them both.
Oh yeah, it showed Logan later. He had 2 girls, a guy, and because that was when Clementine, she came to his room, and again he was like, nah, I got true love at home, and
yeah,
I was like, dude, win in Westworld,
right?
Yeah.
Well, it paints young William as such a upstanding individual.
Yeah, which totally sets it up for later for the big, we find out I started.
What a twist!
Yeah, I started suspecting during the season, but when they finally confirmed it, I was like, oh man, just the journey from a guy who comes in
and the
naive.
Symbolism of the hat.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, which I wanted to ask you about this. Anything to the fact that Ford wears a black cowboy hat? Because they're so symbolic with everything.
Ford even. I don't know if it's in. I don't think it was in the first 3 episodes, but he refers to himself as the devil at one point.
Yeah.
If Arnold's God, he's the devil.
Right.
Well, isn't his name synonymous with the guy who killed
Jesse James? The assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
Yeah. So
he already has a shit name because of that.
Yeah, totally. So I just I was kind of noticed that earlier too. I don't know. They Ford is it does have a nice a Western sound to it, even though it's
I kind of
Casey Affleck.
Yeah, I kind of hate Casey Affleck for that movie.
Right.
I thought he was
he
so
did a
good.
Really, he did a good job, but that's why I don't
Yeah.
like him is because he did such a good.
That's like all the
good
people
job.
hating Headley, but because of Cersei Lannister.
You're right.
Yeah, well, I see that.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't want to be nice to her either, except she's very attractive and
She's all right.
I think so.
There's a conversation that takes place between the guy who writes the stories and storylines and the lady who's kind of in charge there too, and she talks about she kind of mentions that this place is one thing to the guests and something different to management.
Right.
So that kind of makes you think. I mean, that'd be like if at the zoo, at the Oklahoma City Zoo, they're also building a nuke under. Or I don't know. What does that mean? Is it sinister?
Probably means it's a constant headache. Is what I would think.
Is it
that's
social experimenting?
Oh yeah, at its finest. I assume.
I mean, again, spoilers if you haven't seen the sequel to the old movie, but they were replacing in Future World. They were replacing heads of government.
Okay, so this is maybe where this all how it all got started. What's the name of corporate?
Delos.
Delos. I always forget that.
But I mean, we can talk about season 2 a little bit if you'd like. Because they released the photo of the new drone host, and they look like they're half done because they're just white walking meat with no like features.
Oh yeah, those are they're known as drone hosts.
I believe they're drone something.
Yeah,
I think they're drone hosts.
Those look scary.
They look super cool.
Well, they show one little clip, and if you're real careful and you can watch it, you see one throwing Bernard up against the wall, and it's not listening to him. So, I mean,
they look like the G.I. Joe Bat Soldiers.
Yeah,
I feel like, which is pretty cool. The toys, I love that.
But yeah, they're probably military. I mean, endless wars. Why not have endless soldiers?
Right. Episode 2. I want to kind of jump back to that for just a second.
Yeah, absolutely.
Episode 2 ended with Ford takes Bernard and he shows him the church in the desert and says this is something he's been working on for quite some time, which, if you haven't seen it, the end of the season, that's big, huge foreshadowing as to what's going to happen there.
Right.
And so that just makes me think, like, overall, Ford has been doing all of this, and all of this is, you think that the robots are alive. He wants you to think that. But that's so he can manipulate you and manipulate the robots and make everything happen according to his plan. And I even think, all the way to the end, close your ears if you haven't seen it yet, he might have made a robot of himself that took the bullet.
Well, I'm gonna have to shut.
That's actually a really good thing.
I'm gonna have to shut you down.
Okay, because that's why I was gonna go with this. Season 2, they talked about everybody's coming back basically,
except for Anthony Hopkins. It's old Anthony Hopkins. It'd be young CGI Anthony Hopkins,
like you saw in the it was I think episode 2. You saw the old Anthony or the early Anthony Hopkins,
young Anthony Hopkins,
and was it Jonathan Nolan? He released a statement saying that Ford was really and truly killed by Dolores in season 1. He's not expected to return as played by Anthony Hopkins. We will, however, see a young version of Dr. Ford in flashbacks played by another actor at some point.
So they're just going to have, like, they could have anybody and they'll just superimpose CGI'd Anthony Hopkins' face.
Yeah.
I wonder if he has to voice act him or anything.
You would think so, or he's already done it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he's got a real distinctive voice.
Yeah.
It's not like they're trying to remove a mustache or something, Like,
oh my God.
Yeah.
that killed that whole movie for me.
Did it really?
Oh, well, I'm a Marvel guy anyway. DC's slacking, I feel like.
Yeah.
I think they
talking about Justice League.
I think they use Christian Bale's lip as because he talks and he shows either too much teeth or not enough teeth. There's never like the right medium. Yeah. No little baby bear with the perfect porridge.
Oh, one other thing I wanted to kind of talk about too, just like I say, going back, things we've talked about is the bullets and how they hit people, and how that maybe you mentioned that they said it's not Samurai World, it's Shogun World.
Yeah, they've officially said it was Shogun World.
Sounds like the worst idea ever.
Yeah, we brought that up on the last episode.
We
credit you with the displeasure, so
yeah,
go right ahead.
Right. No, I just really feel like that's just the worst idea ever. Like, how do you fake a sword fight? Really?
Yeah,
and it's real. I mean, I can't argue. Like, it makes complete sense.
And what I was noticing, because my theory had been, and it's another blown apart theory, is that maybe they had like electric charges in their vest that popped off when they shot them, and so that's why it didn't hurt them. And maybe there's something like that, like when the sword hits you, it gives you an electric charge or something that hurts, but it's not going to kill you.
Your arm just falls off. It's a detachable arm.
But I noticed
Throw that right back.
a couple things. William gets shot, and the Man in Black gets shot. Okay, and you see them both. And when the Man in Black gets shot, he doesn't even flinch.
Right.
It's like somebody threw like one of those poppers at him.
William gets knocked down.
William gets knocked down, and you almost think he gets killed or something. And then he gets back up, and he has a big bruise. So it's almost like a paintball or something.
I feel like they, in that 30-year span between his first visit and his final visit, they probably nerfed it.
You think they refined it?
Yeah.
Nerf darted.
They started bringing little kids in. Little kids can't get hit with a paintball all the time.
Maybe you're right.
I mean,
about
they can.
that.
That would be hilarious. But
Oh, you've never seen a little kid hit by a paintball before, then?
nope.
It's not funny.
Did they cry?
Absolutely.
yeah. They feel like almost like a wasp sting or something. They'll get you. But I noticed that part, and so that kind of blows up my theory. But I still wonder, what are they getting hit by that would pierce the skin of and the clothes of a unless their clothes, because their clothes are tailored for them. Maybe they're made out of material that can't be penetrated. I don't even know.
It's got to be something reactive with the host skin, with the tissues. I mean, we touched on it last time.
Yeah,
but
it's probably just a thinner skin,
I mean,
Could be.
I don't know. I mean, it's who knows. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you're 3D printing people, by this point, you can work in a fail safe. Like, oh, hey, they pop when they get wet, or like gremlins.
Yeah. So I just kind of want to touch on just a few of the other ways that you can tell which timelines they're in, because from episode 3 on, I think that plays so much into it, and you're just going to be confused if you don't know. But a few ways right off the top of the bat. If you notice, when young William shows up, the Westworld logo is different than the Westworld logo you see when you see Bernard and those guys. So that's how you can tell that you're in a different timeline. You mentioned maybe some ways that you can tell through Bernard, whether it's Bernard or Arnold.
Yeah, really simple. I mean, they kind of get to it later, but the old room, the old repair station,
Right.
that he's talking to Dolores in, that it's unused at the time that Bernard's around.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
that's Arnold every time they're talking.
Ah, interesting.
And then obviously it's going to be Bernard later.
So it's the one is it the one that's the bunker room?
Yeah, it's got the concrete walls.
Uh-huh.
It's not nearly as futuristic looking.
So which room were they in when he gives her the book, the Alice in Wonderland book?
That was the old room. That's the same room that is under the church.
So I mean, of course we've mentioned this so many times. I just don't want to piss anybody off.
Spoilers.
But yeah, because we find out that Arnold and Bernard have a shared history or whatever. We'll just put it that way for those who might not have seen it yet. But so you can't tell which one is which sometimes. But when he gives her the book, he also mentions reading it to his son.
Right. But his, Bernard's backstory was based on Arnold's backstory.
Right. So they'd share that.
And then, they show later that his wife is actually just a superimposed face on Anthony Hopkins, who's talking to...
Oh, is that what was going on?
I think that's the case.
That's creepy.
That is super creepy. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's super creepy.
Yeah, I could just see Anthony Hopkins, or Ford, doing that all the time, just calling people and...
I'm thinking about
giving
you,
himself
babe.
a different face.
Now come to me.
Yeah. Why didn't he just program Bernard to think that instead of...
It's just a program, yeah.
Yeah. Man, super creepy.
He's a creepy dude for keeping Bernard around anyway.
Well, yeah. You're right. That's where I think you have a struggle trying to figure out whether Ford is actually a good guy or a bad guy sometimes.
Right.
And still don't know. I mean, I love Anthony Hopkins, though. I'm kind of bummed he won't be in the second season.
Just,
He might be
Jim
in a flashback or two.
Yeah. But it'd be like, they have a weird look. Like Carrie Fisher, when they did her, the Princess Leia and him, they have like a weird glow about them. I think
it has that cartoon world or that Cool World feel. Like it's a cartoon in like real world.
Yeah.
Like it's not. Cool.
Does it look normal to you?
No, you can tell something's not right.
I mean, Grand Moff Tarkin was pretty good though.
No,
I mean,
that was
he
pretty
amazing.
good. You're right. He was pretty good. And I wonder how much they'll like make movies where, say, like Jack Nicholson goes to the great beyond, as we all will someday. What if they were like, let's make another movie where he's the Joker, and they just superimpose his face on there? Do you ever see that happening in the future?
God, I hope not.
Well, they did it.
Jack Nicholson, when he does die, that he'll probably roll over in his grave on that shit.
There were a bunch of commercials like a few years back that had like dead celebrities in them. Like they were.
That's right.
They were dancing.
I'm sure they had to pay royalties and whatnot.
I'm sure they like owned their image. Like we had a contract with them while they were. That's what contracts are going to be now. We can use your image even after you're dead.
Maybe so, yeah.
Didn't think of that.
Yeah. So I'll be calling you guys with my creepy Anthony Hopkins faces.
Oh, yeah, I mean.
Well, they do have the technology where, like, I could speak whatever into this program, and they haven't released it yet because people can just do crazy stuff with that. But I can edit it to where it'll sound like whoever I want it to sound like.
It's real James Bondy stuff, like... It'll do all your names, or not all your names, but it'll map out your inflections and everything. No,
that, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, like Adobe, the people who make the Audition, which is what we're recording on, and like Photoshop and Premiere Pro video editing software, they're the ones that have this, I think, and they just haven't released it. And like you said, I don't know that will be a public release because
I don't think it should.
Yeah, but I would love it because I'd be like, hey, guess what, guys? I got an interview with Anthony Hopkins. We're going to play that next. Every show,
good.
We would have the best one.
Christopher Walken and Morgan Freeman. Those would be the best ones.
Yeah, so, okay, so this is the biggest thing that happened, I believe, in the first 3 episodes. And we're kind of saving it for last. But what pretty much sets a lot of stuff into motion going forward are Dolores kind of, at least you think anyway, because I feel like this is all just according to the plan. But Dolores is starting to feel like she's remembering things, and she's starting to kind of be aware. In fact, they asked, so it was Arnold, because they were down in the bunker, but he asks her, do you ever feel like you should be one person or the other, or how do you pick which person you should be? And she's like, I don't even know what that means. And she's like, but if I were to be able to figure that out, I would be free. And I guess it was Arnold was like, oh my gosh,
Right.
He definitely read into that.
He was the one that wanted them to like that was his goal, was to create consciousness.
Right, and that's what Ford said.
And I believe he, succeeded.
Yeah, well, because Ford mentioned, like, before Arnold offed himself, he just isolated himself with the hosts, and he saw a spark of consciousness that Ford makes sure to tell Bernard was never there.
He had developed that idea of the pyramid, including with based on the bicameral mind.
Right, the bicameral mind, and that plays into it later on too. But it's the voice of the gods, and it was funny too because they mentioned in the show, he said something to the effect of, the people that believe that the voice in their head really are the gods. And Bernard goes, yeah, the lunatics.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and then, like I say, the big thing, Maeve.
Right.
When Maeve is on the table with Felix and Sylvester, she wakes up. And, of course, they're freaked out.
But, spoilers. They explain it a little later that somebody named Arnold was messing with her code.
Right.
So that was either Anthony Hopkins, Ford, using his credentials, or Bernard accessing his reveries subconsciously.
Right, yeah.
Which is exactly what they were planning on, creating.
Well, because they had noticed Walter Milky Rapist, he was talking to himself, and he was talking to somebody named Arnold.
Okay, speaking of Walter Milky Rapist, That was
Horrible
total.
name.
It's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, that's a great way.
Because he had that one scene where he's like, drink this milk.
Growing
Or you
boy.
don't, yeah, growing boy. And he says it like 3 times.
But when he's drinking that milk and it's coming out his bullet hole. Did anybody else get an aliens?
Yes.
Like an aliens feel? Like
Yes.
that's one of the synthetics.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that grossed me out in Aliens.
I was just like, oh, robots are filled with milk.
Milk mush.
Yeah. So Aliens is also in the Westworld verse then, is what you're saying?
That'd be a crazy world. I
Possibility.
mean, that kind of gets us into the other thing we were thinking about
Part
was
of Wayland Industries.
horror world. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
monster world.
We were talking about like some of the, maybe even, I think this was spurred off of the art that we were thinking we wanted to come up with for the show.
Yeah,
Should we talk about that for a second?
sure. Why not?
It was we were talking about like first it was like a robot horse, like because you saw in the previews for season 2 they had like the robot bull where some of it was exposed as a robot.
And in the going through the labs in the first episode or two, they were building
Yeah.
a horse. I mean,
That's
they were
right.
shaving one down. They had one person like putting in the organs.
Yeah, in one episode, the second episode was named Chestnut, which we were thinking maybe had something to do with a horse. We weren't sure. So we were thinking maybe because Travis is such a great artist, he's done a lot, like dang near all my tattoos. And here at No Regrets Tattoo, plug it one more time. But yeah, we were talking about you drawing me and Chip riding a robot horse together. And then we were talking about
Do you want a pillow in between or?
no,
Nah, just okay, full on.
Yeah.
I like it.
yeah, au natural.
But then we were like, let's make this kind of fun and silly.
Yeah,
So
we were thinking about putting in like a centaur.
yeah, one of us is a centaur and the other one, just kind of
Yeah.
riding his back.
Yeah,
Stroking the mane.
yeah. Or
But then we're like, no, that's kind of weird.
or you could be the centaur, Travis, and me and Chip could be riding you.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
But we were thinking,
And that could be your next business card too. Oh my god.
yeah. All that was to brought us to the fact that they could build a centaur.
They could build they could build anything that, that we've had nightmares about.
Yeah, yeah. So you could. What kind of worlds could you have though with that kind of thinking?
That would just be the freakish, just
Like Chimera
Spot.
World.
Chimera, like ancient Greek mythology world.
which
Yeah.
would be super cool.
Which
but
would be really
creepy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Medusas and harpies and crap running around. Or flying around.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
You could do the creature from the Black Lagoon and like classic Wolfman.
Yeah, I mean, really, with the technology that they have in that show, whatever you can imagine, they could do.
Yeah. That'd be really, really cool. I mean, like H.P. Lovecraft world, not so much.
Yeah,
But
Oh,
giant sky octopus,
yeah,
Yeah.
a kraken.
Kraken.
the Kraken.
But yeah, I think it'd be a really cool thing to do.
Yeah, I do too. I do want to talk about Maeve for just another second because she wakes up, she makes a run for it. They finally catch her. They put her back to sleep. But then later on, she remembers. She remembers seeing Teddy when he was shot and in the storage where they clean him and restore him. So that's going to play big into the next few episodes as the story unfolds. Another huge thing that happened: the maze.
The maze.
Yeah. So at the end of first episode, he cuts the maze out of the scalp, so it was left there, for somebody to find. But then when he goes and he teams up with the one guy that he saves him basically, but then now
Lawrence.
He doesn't save him though. He takes him and shoots his family, and he's gonna take him with him to find the maze. But his daughter, the host that is his daughter, tells him this maze is not for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, they kind of bring it up later in the episodes that the maze was just a representation of the mind, the pyramid. He draws
Right.
the loop around it, and boom.
Yeah.
Well, when young Will first comes to the park and he's there with his brother-in-law or future brother-in-law.
Yeah, Logan. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the old guy that comes up and is trying to get him involved in a story. What if the whole time that was the prelude to the maze?
Oh my God.
That would have been great.
And he spent like 30 years looking
Yeah,
for
it
it.
was under his nose the whole time.
Oh my God, that just blew
would be
my
the
mind,
best.
Travis.
Yeah.
It'd make me
That'd
want
be the
to
best.
run Logan naked on a horse again, all over again.
Gone now.
I want to, but I think on the next episode we'll spend a little more time on like what I think the maze really meant, because you get more into that later on in this season anyway. So, but it was introduced, and I thought we should definitely point that out because it does turn into a big deal going forward. Him trying to find out where the maze is and what he thinks it's going to lead to, and we'll talk about a lot about that. Next episode, you need to watch episodes 4, 5, and 6.
Yep.
All right, and we'll kind of recap that and point out what we noticed. Anything else that you guys noticed from those?
Going back to the milk, I've been thinking about it a lot lately. There were just a couple shots every time milk was in play.
Yeah.
It was mixing with blood. On the ground mixing with blood, and that made me think of later when they've got that kind of Vitruvian man set up after they're ever built him, 3D printed him. He's completely white, and then they just kind of start pumping in all that blood, and you see it slowly give him pigment and like skin
Color,
tint.
Yeah. You can find our podcast on Spreaker, iTunes, YouTube. We're on Facebook, Jestworld. One word. That's very important.
But again, we'll give them another shout out just because.
Yeah,
check
we're
them
good
out.
guys.
Jestworld Films. That's all. That's 3 words.
Yeah, 3 words.
Ugh.
Jestworld Films. Go like them, and they'll feel good about it.
We don't know their email. They didn't get the Google, or the Gmail.
But if you got theories, or if you notice Easter eggs, or if you got questions, you want to know what we think about this in the show,
or things we can talk about.
Yeah, we might not know the answer, but we'll try to look it up.
We are excellent BS artists.
Yeah, so email us jestworld@gmail.com. If you're in Oklahoma City, you want to get a tattoo, you should come by No Regrets. Best way to do it, just come by and look at the calendar, right, Travis?
Yeah, that's how I roll.
Yeah, but he does a great job. Chip, anything you got going you want to plug?
No. Got a new puppy. He's little Bishop. He's doing good. So.
He's a miniature direwolf, isn't he?
Yep. He's all black with a little bit of silver like on his paws.
You should post a picture of him on our Facebook page.
I will. I think they should be our mascots.
A teacup direwolf.
Teacup direwolf.
Yeah. All right. Well, like I say, we'll be back here in a couple weeks. Watch episode 4, 5, and 6 of Westworld. That's your homework.
Yep.
And we'll also talk a little bit more about the maze.
The maze, not corn. We can talk about corn. It could be a maze.
Or we could talk about the band Corn. Anybody like the band Corn?
I like corn.
Just me?
No, I like corn.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
I like Jonathan Davis.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. I think he's coming to the Diamond.
I don't like him enough to go see him.
Well, alrighty then.
I seen him back in 1999.
Like just by himself or with Corn?
No, with corn.
Was that the Family Values tour?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. With Limp Bizkit,
Ice Cube.
Who else? Rammstein.
Yes.
We won't even talk about what they did to the crowd. It was
Rammstein.
Indecent and
Ice
hilarious.
Cube?
Ice Cube, yeah.
I don't
family,
like Rammstein
the children's
because of that.
family movie.
It was uncomfortable.
Like actor dude.
Yeah. You didn't like Ice Cube?
I loved Ice Cube.
Oh, okay.
I didn't like Rammstein.
Oh, you didn't like Rammstein?
Oh, they pulled out a fake wing and peed on everybody. It was ridiculous.
I don't think
Travis
they were
is-
peeing, but yeah.
That's disrespectful.
Travis is all natural or nothing.
They're a German band, and
Keep your fake wiener in your pants.
I'm pretty sure the Germans invented doo-doo porn. So.
yeah,
Dude,
German shyster videos. You've heard of
Gross.
it. That's why we almost named it Tangent World.
Talk about all types of shit.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's we'll end on that.
All right. Well, y'all have a good night.